Do you see that? Do you see that?
Welcome to Paranormal Nightshift, your home for all things that go bump in the dark and your fan stories told here. Today's story comes from James and is titled The Wolfpack. As a kid, I spent the summers working on my uncle's ranch. He had a huge, hundreds of acres out in the middle of Texas. One particular summer, we had an issue with predators, coyotes, wolves, things like that. Something was attacking the cattle. My job that summer was to be the night watchman. We had built this tower to where I could see everything flat, everything up into the tree line. It was my job to protect the cattle from the wolves or the coyotes, whatever was coming after them. One particular night, I was sitting looking through my scope and I didn't see all the movement that I normally would see. There was nothing coming out of the tree line and no creatures at all, really. The cattle were all huddled around me. But other than that, there was nothing out there. It just seemed odd. You'd normally see a rabbit or a deer, something crossing the field, but this night I didn't see anything, and it was eerily quiet. But there in the distance, I saw it. A set of glowing red eyes, glowing like the burning end of a cigarette. But they had to be 6, 7 feet in the air. Then the 2 pairs of eyes turned into 3, then 4, then 6. 6 glowing red eyes looking directly at me in my direction. I reached down and grabbed my more powerful scope and saw the eyes were there. They were 6, 7 feet in the air and glowing, and they were just watching me right from the wood line. I tried to see what it was, but I couldn't see anything. I got down on the ATV and decided to ride a little bit closer. Maybe I would chase them off, maybe I'd see something. I don't know. I got maybe 50, 75 yards away, and the eyes all started to move. It was like they were now surrounding me. I saw them from every distance, like they were cornering me. I was being surrounded by these glowing eyes, but could not yet see anything that the eyes were attached to. No creatures, no wolves, just glowing eyes. Suddenly from the tree line, it made itself visible from the moonlight. It walked out, a wolf, the size of a man, 6, 7 feet tall, standing on its hind legs. The other ones that were surrounding me started to make themselves seen as well. I was surrounded by 6 of these creatures, these man-like wolf creatures. They were looking at me, snarling, like I was there to be their fresh meal. They began to walk closer to me. Me, sitting on the ATV, didn't know what to do. I had my pistol on my side, and I didn't even know what I was shooting at, but I unloaded and just got on the ATV and drove away as quick as I could, all the way back to my uncle's ranch. I banged on the door and let him know what was happening. There's something out there. Whatever's out there is larger than a wolf. I don't know. It was like a man wolf or a wolf man. I don't know, maybe a werewolf? I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. I know that I hit one of them. I don't know. I stayed the night there in the barn with my uncle. We waited until morning to go and investigate. It wasn't hard to see the tracks from where the ATV had torn through the field. I must have been so scared. My uncle and I saw it there in the woods, a blood trail. We followed the blood trail down what had to be a quarter mile down into the woods, down in parts of his property that he had probably never been into. And we saw a shelter, a shack made out of sticks and stones. It looked like a cabin, but crudely built together, held together with mud. There was a fire burning through a crude chimney. My uncle, knowing it was his property and knowing he was armed, went to knock on the door. Man came to the door with blood-soaked clothes. They were tending to a woman inside who had clearly been shot. My uncle rushed me out of the house and told me to wait outside. I was still only 15 or 16 years old. He told the man and the rest of the people in the house that this was his property and that they needed to leave, that he would call for medical attention for the lady who had been hurt, and he apologized for my actions. But the man standing there didn't seem to be fazed. He seemed to know that this conversation was coming. He offered my uncle money and said he was sorry for the cattle, that we'd never disturb them again. My uncle decided to call the law. But when the law finally got there, the people were gone. The whole shack had been torn down. Whatever people were there were no longer there. Nothing left at all, except for bloody rags and towels that they were using to tend to whoever had been injured. My mind began to rush, thinking that I could have potentially hurt somebody. Did my actions hurt somebody? Maybe I didn't see what I think I saw, but I know I did. I know that they were giant, wolf-like people. They were surrounding me. They were going to hurt me. That's when it took a very, very eerie turn. As the sheriffs and my uncle were investigating around the property, they saw no footprints, no signs of human life, but large, wolf-like prints leading into the woods. No footprints at all, just paw prints all throughout their makeshift complex. There were no charges ever pressed against me. My uncle told me not to talk about the situation anymore. And the rest of the summer, we had no problems out of any of the other cattle. Nothing else went missing. That was it. They just seemed to disappear. I know what I saw that night, and I do wholeheartedly believe there are certain things that can't be explained, certain evils in this world that don't need to be investigated.